I thought I'd have to do it in two halves. My camera's only got a certain amount of memory, but this is Clockwork Part 2. I must just sip my tea and then I'll carry on. You remember Mary Maguire and the girl she had wanted to be her daughter-in-law was sitting in her kitchen. She was wanting to keep her there until her son came home from work, but she was just making small talk, not wanting to get onto a subject that made it look like she was interfering. So I'll continue. Tea's good. So I saw your Aunt Annie in Austin's the other day. Hadn't seen her for months. She told me your cousin Patricia's off to Dublin to study law. Imagine little Pat going to end up a lawyer. The carriage clock, restored to its place on the mantelpiece, ticked in perfect unison with Sam's clock on the table. At 5 o'clock, Sam's Westminster chimes had her heart racing with the melody. She should leave, but she didn't want to upset Mary by going out in a rush when she'd wronged her so. But Paul would be leaving work. He'd be home in this house in 20 minutes. She knew his routine as well as if it was her own. As Paul Maguire came out of the workshop, he noticed young Jimmy at the gate. "Hi Paul, how you doing? I've something for you. You're to open it right now." Okay. Opening the envelope, Paul saw the steady, neat writing of the clockmaker on one of his bills. There was no money mentioned, but just these words: "It is time to talk. Do it now." Feeling irritated, he put the note in his pocket. How could he? She was so full of herself. Angry. She could hardly look the way of him. He strode up the street, hardly talking to young Jimmy, as though it were the boy's fault. Soon he was opening his front door, and longing for a cup of tea, entered the kitchen, and when he saw her there, he was stunned. He couldn't seem to speak, so his mother did. "Cup of tea and some scones, dear." Samantha looked at him, and here in this room it was different. The man she loved, home from his work, oily boiler suit and that old cap she'd suggested that he throw out months back, and those deep green eyes and a face full of stress. She felt the tears burning the back of her eyes again. Try as she might, she loved him as much now as she ever had. But what he had done. Mary handed her son his tea and scones, and then gave Samantha the same. "Mrs. Maguire, I should really go now." "No, you should not, Samantha. You really should not. You should stay." Mary Maguire said this in a tone that Samantha had not heard before, a tone that commanded respect. "I'm going over the road to see Sarah Logan and see if she's any better now, but I'll be back shortly to make dinner." The two of them heard the front door close, looked at each other with eyes like swords crossing. Then they each looked all round the room, avoiding each other and feeling very awkward. The clock chimed 5:45. Their eyes met. "Your ma makes the best scones in Derry," Sam broke in the ice. "Aye, you always said that." Paul remembered the clockmaker's bin in his pocket. "Samantha, can we talk?" Okay. She was sure the clockmaker had planned this. Paul cleared his throat and he faced her. "What do you think actually happened that night?" "All I know is that you were seen getting out of your car outside Rushing Connolly's house, opening the passenger door and carrying her into the house, mind you, like she was your bride, and it was nearly 2 in the morning. What do you expect me to think? And what have you heard since?" "Enough gossip to drown me in my sorrow. I thought I knew you, Paul." "Samantha, if you knew me, you would not judge me. You wouldn't judge me unheard or measure me by Derry gossip." "Aye," her eyes were blazing, "and if you knew me at all, you would know I would never forgive you that. That never happened. Will you just come and listen to me? And I mean listen, you're not good at that. Just listen for 5 minutes and don't interrupt, please." She didn't feel angry when he said that because she knew he was right. Always leaping in quick, that was her. "Aye, okay, talk." He looked into her face and could see the deep sorrow, and he just wanted her to understand the truth. "I left you here at 10:30 after the concert the night before we both wanted an early night. As I got in the door at home, the phone rang, and it was my boss, Davy Pace. Now you should remember, he was sitting up nights expecting his mother to die. He was up there in Galvin Hospital night after night. Then she rallied round. She's fine now. But Davy had been sitting in that hospital for 4 nights in a row, and he was wrecked. Roisin Connolly, let me finish now. Sorry. She bit her lip to prevent the tears. Roisin had phoned in a state. She'd run her car off the road coming home from Strabane out the other side of the new buildings. He was so worn out and he asked me to go out and see to it. When I got out there, the car was not too bad, but Roisin had cut her head, and far worse, she got out of the car, slipped on the bank and hurt her ankle. I took her to accident and emergency out in Galvin. You know what it's like up there. We waited an age. Then they told Roisin she had torn ligaments in her ankle. I took her home. Yes, I did carry her into the house, but that was because she was in such pain as she walked. She said she would sleep on her couch, so I made her a cup of tea and left. As I was leaving, the police arrived as they'd found her car and come to check out what had happened. I think that would have been about 2:30. I explained about Roisin's accident and told them I would move the car for her in daylight. They said it was not a hazard tonight, it was off the road, and daylight would be a safer and better time to do that. One of the cops was that guy Brian your dad knows, so you should be able to check out my story, but it angers me that I should even have to say that to you. I'm so hurt that you even think. He caught her eye at this point, and Samantha burst into tears. She sobbed loudly and just could not speak. Paul did not know what to do. Should he put his arm around her? Would she want him to do that? He wasn't sure, so he reached out and put his hand on hers in her lap. Samantha, I am speaking the truth. When have I ever lied to you? I just felt sorry for her, but that was all it was. I never so much as kissed her. Sam, how could you think? Oh, Paul, hold me, please hold me. He sat on the arm of the chair and held her close, and she cried tears of anger with herself, tears of relief for him, and despair at how she'd listened to the gossipers. Forgive me, Paul, I beg you, forgive me. Even if we can only be friends, forgive me. I've listened to the wrong people. Can you ever forgive me? Sam, when you sent me the ring back, my heart nearly died. I love you more than I can ever put into words. Life has been murder without you. She looked up into his face. Does that mean we can start again? Try again? Because even when I thought I tried to hate you, but I still loved you. Samantha Flynn, if you believe what I've told you and would allow me to take you out for a meal tomorrow night, I'd like to put that ring back on your finger. But I didn't let you explain. I'm so sorry. Sam, I didn't try too hard to explain. I was so angry you even thought. The clockmaker, he said the trouble is you and I are both too proud. The clockmaker said that. Now they both started to laugh, though they both had tears on their cheeks. Worried about what might have happened, Mary Maguire opened the front door. It was quiet. She was hoping Samantha hadn't left. She opened the kitchen door to witness the two of them kissing very tenderly. So I take it there are 3 of us for dinner then, she said, as she fought back the tears of joy. So now, a month later, the clockmaker was polishing for the final time the beautiful clock he'd made from start to finish and mounted in beautiful rosewood. He laughed again at the words on the wedding invitation sitting on his bench. You conniving old rogue. Where would we be without you? Please make our joy complete by being guest of honour at our wedding with a seat at the bridal table. It's time for us to say thanks. Love, Sam and Paul. He was sure the clock was the right wedding present for them. The frame was in the shape of a heart and mounted on a wall it would remind them, because under the clock were these words, "It is always time to talk." As was his way, he chuckled and spoke to himself as he polished. All I really did was adjusted the two hands of the clock. Thanks for listening, my friends. Hope you got some pleasure out of that at least. I guess we do sometimes misread situations, don't we? That's human nature, I guess, the way we are. But it's nice to listen and get the facts, isn't it? All the very best to one and all. Lots of love from Kate and me. Bye for now.